Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stranger Geeks here on Geek the F Out. I am Lucha Johnny. I don't know why I started doing this recently when I say who I am. Captain Johnny, Lucha Johnny. Pound my chest. As you can tell, Kayla is not with us yet. She will be. She was delayed by waterfowl.
Well, you know. Who hasn't been delayed by waterfowl at least once?
I always remember when I took my driving test for the very first time, there was like a flock of birds on the driving course, and I'm going towards them and they're not moving. So I stop. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And the driving test instructor was like, use your horn, honey. That's what it's there for.
It's about all you can do and hope they scatter. And they're not too bold.
They did.
Usually. There are very few animals who won't. And the ones who do are the ones you have to be like, just lock the door and wait for them to pass. Because if they're not afraid of the horn, they're probably dangerous. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's say hello to the chat. It's early, so
Hello.
It's light. Smetty's here.
Hello.
Shiny Plastic People is here. Crazy Puffs. I don't like Sugar Smacks or like what are Crazy Puffs, Chris? And
yeah, Chris. What are Crazy Puffs?
Allison Troy, the Retro Toy Princess, is on the screen and in the chat. Multitasking.
I know, right?
So until Kayla gets here, Allison, what is your history with Stranger Things? Like, obviously, this is my first time watching it through. Did you, Silver K is in the chat, but not yet on the screen. Did you start watching this from season 1, or did you pick it up later after the buzz started to build around it?
A little bit of both. I didn't start watching it like right when it hit, but within 3 or 4 months of it hitting, I watched it at that point. So, yeah. So like, sort of, before everyone had really, at least where I was, before everyone was really talking about it. I mean, there was obviously some media buzz. I had seen the hashtag Justice for Barb, but I didn't really know anyone talking about it yet. And we all sort of, everyone in my circle, started watching it at the same time. And it sort of hit, I was doing a lot of activism, so I wasn't watching quite as much television or streaming. I was, doing political stuff. So it was sort of, so I wasn't right on top of it, and that's probably why none of the people I was hanging out with were really talking about it, because we were busy doing things. And then it came across my radar, and then I watched it because I sort of needed to not be thinking about politics and all of that for bits and pieces, and really enjoyed it. I've only watched actually through season 3. Sort of fell behind because, started doing YouTube, how that can take over. And was planning on I've got some vacation time coming up, and I was going to catch up with it. And it was around the time I was planning all that Kayla was like, "Hey, you should join us." So here I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I did rewatch a couple of episodes. Obviously, the ones we're going to talk about after the invite was extended, and I knew which ones I was coming from, so it's fairly fresh. I do remember not liking season 2 as much as liking season 3, but we all know that Robin shows up in season 3, and how can you not like anything that introduces the world to Robin?
Yeah, so far she has been a great addition to the show. It's hard sometimes when you do that. I just recently watched Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time.
Okay.
And I was surprised when they added what's her name? The Earthbender. The blind earthbender. Why can't I remember her name?
I haven't watched any of those yet, so I'm just gonna have to trust you that you know.
Yeah.
You know
Anyway,
this thing.
Toph. Her name was Toph. When they added Toph in, thank you, yeah, Chris, Toph, and also, yeah, they're the Crazy Puffs are those mini pizzas from Little
Oh,
Caesars. I've
well,
wanted to
that's
try those, but have
because
not
I
yet.
don't eat Little Caesars anymore. I had a friend who worked there. I know how they make it.
But they added Toph in like season 2 as one of the main cast, and it's really hard to do that sometimes to add
Yeah,
a new main character later in the season. But Avatar did it really well with Toph, and Stranger Things has done it pretty well with. They've added people every season so far. Like last
they
season was Max's first season, right?
yeah,
She
and
wasn't in season 1.
Max worked all right. Not so much the other like Eleven's sister. I don't know that she was really her sister,
Yeah,
but like the
yeah, but
other superpower kids that didn't work quite as well as like Max did. So
yeah, they were still kind of just guests though, like because they didn't become part of the main because they're not in this season yet. At
yeah,
least maybe they're in
thankfully,
the
because
last 2 episodes.
that sort of ground season 2 to a stop for me. I mean, like I wanted to like all of those characters in season 2. I just feel like it was a really rough introduction to them. So hopefully, I'm gonna hope that I haven't seen season 4, which I'll be
Okay.
watching soonish. Um, after obviously this, it was like I could start season 4 or rewatch some stuff so I remember what I'm talking about. I'm going to assume they're not back yet in season 4, but I'm hoping for season 5 they sort of circle back to that because all of that is, and unless and everyone who's watched season 4 is like Allison, they've already done it. Let it go. I haven't watched it yet. No spoilers. Even though my own spoiler rule is if it's been more than 4 months and I haven't seen something, it's fine to spoil it for me. That's my own fault for not being on top of it. So anyway.
I don't know if she's ready or not. She's here. I don't know if she's ready or not, but she's
Hello.
gonna be on screen anyway.
Huzzah.
I keep forgetting about that. Hello, I am here.
She
Thanks
came in like a
everyone
wrecking
for
ball.
yeah, thanks everyone for waiting for me. I had to go get a Slurpee, which the only size that said Slurpee was like the like kitty size. So I got this size and they had chili mango, which if anyone knows me, they know I will salute for tahine any day of the week. So
I was gonna say,
I had to
isn't
get
that
this.
basically what like tahine is? So is that a tahine Slurpee?
Well, chili mango, so it's mango.
Free
okay.
Slurpee Day is coming soon. Like, do they still make Coke
Yeah.
Slurpees? Because I may need to go get a Slurpee on Free Slurpee Day this year.
Yeah, I was originally gonna. I usually go for blue raspberry or Coke, or sometimes cherry and Coke. But I saw this and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I might have to like. I thought I might have to add some tahini into it, but there's actually a pretty strong like chili flavor to it.
So I do have to say, I immediately noticed your eyeshadow, and
Yes.
that is amazing. I see.
Thank
what you're talking
you.
about. You
Scoops.
did very good with that.
Thank you. I realized yesterday I was gonna like dermablade my face, which basically takes off all the peach fuzz, because that also helps like when I do makeup looks that extend past my eye, you know, it gets a little hairy, literally. And I wish I did it because it like was very hard to do the bows. But it was fun. Thanks for the inspo, Johnny.
You're welcome. I went to Walmart yesterday and bought all of the Scoops Ahoy ice cream. I would have it here, but it's fucking ice cream. It'd melt. I'm not going to have it.
Yeah. You have a picture. You sent me a picture of it, though.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw that picture somewhere.
I put it in the Discord. It's just a picture of all the pints of ice cream. It's not that interesting. But
ice cream is
want to
super
see what
interesting.
else is in your freezer.
yeah, no. Leftover lasagna and Kit Kat ice cream.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Kit Kat.
That's
That looks
Edie's.
yummy.
I got that at
Hi.
Dollar General.
You wanna come say hi?
But so I tried so far. Yesterday I tried the pineapple upside down.
How was it?
And It was good. So when I opened it, it was interesting because it wasn't like ice cream. It was more like ice. You know what it reminded me of?
Is it like sorbet?
Remember when I got the Dole Whips from the ice cream from the grocery store, and I messaged you about them, and I was like, they're not quite the same. I wonder if it's just shitty. Something with pineapple when it's frozen that it hardens. Like you can't do a pineapple soft serve. Or like you can only really do, but you can't do like a packaged pineapple that would stay soft. If you freeze it, it's gonna get solid.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because those Dole Whips from the grocery store like let it out for like 5 minutes before you start to eat it. But that wasn't enough. I think I messaged you back after the first time. I was like, it's similar but not the same. But then I let it sit out longer, and I was like, okay, if you let it sit out longer, it's better. It's closer. But didn't
you say the taste wasn't the same either?
There was a little bit that was off with the taste of the packaged one, but the pineapple upside down cake ice cream was good. And tonight I tried the Void, which is just it says it's a dark vanilla ice cream. I read that it might be activated charcoal that's giving it the black color. I don't know.
So yeah,
my tongue is not black anymore.
Tongue. That's like me when I eat all my sour candy.
But it's the vanilla ice cream with like a strawberry jelly swirl in it and like cookie dough bites. I swear there's like a hint of clove in it. Like it tasted like there was clove in it to me.
Interesting.
And then good. I tried the USS Butterscotch, which was also good. I mean, it was just butterscotch ice cream with
bomb.
With like, like the chocolate chips that they have in mint chocolate chip. They're not like actually chocolate chips. They're more like chocolate.
I think he
flakes.
likes my lipstick.
He might.
He keeps trying to lick it.
You know how those chocolate chips are like flakes of chocolate. It's got those in it. I still need to try
interesting mix.
The mint flair, the triple decker extravaganza. The Gesundheit.
Thank you. I'm a lady.
What's the other one?
She's a
chocolate
lady.
Pudding. And
Yum.
The cinnamon bun bites. Apparently there's cream cheese in that one. I did not know that.
Oh fuck. I think I'll have to get it. I just couldn't go to Walmart today. I chose sleep over Walmart.
I was reading other people's thoughts on Reddit about the ice creams, and I didn't even realize.
Of course you were.
Like, because, like the upside down flavors make sense. The mint flair, the Void, the pineapple upside down. The USS Butterscotch makes sense because they talk about that in the show.
Ow.
Granted, that's like a banana split in the show almost.
It's
just a pint of ice cream.
Banana split.
The triple decker extravaganza and the cinnamon bun bites, I don't know how they fit with the show. I realized the chocolate pudding fits from the first season with the chocolate pudding in the cafeteria. Somebody mentioned it. I was like, that ties in.
Okay, so they're not just like flavors that like all ties into the show?
I think, for the most part, I'm trying to think of how the triple decker and the cinnamon bun bites do, but the rest of them seem to.
I can't think of how they would either.
That just seems like a lot of overthinking for ice cream. Like, just put some shit in it, sell it, let me eat it.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking.
Well,
at
least they were thorough about it.
I was thinking about this when I was watching the episode today. Like, they made an entire like chain brand, the Scoops Ahoy. Yeah, it's probably a riff on Chips Ahoy cookies, like because of the colors and whatnot, and the Ahoy. But like they came up with an entire brand, like names of things like the USS Butterscotch, the graphic design, like all the design for the uniforms, the fact that Steve and Robin aren't just wearing the same uniform, like they have different,
they are
slightly different uniforms.
You can't have my lipstick.
It's just funny they came up with an entire brand.
They're smart.
Just for the show.
That marketing team, they're on it.
So
that's why we love this show. It gets involved in real life.
It's really good world building, though.
Yeah, they had hot dog on a stick in there. Like you, hot dog.
I miss hot dog on a stick. Like,
they're still
of course, I
around.
would always get the corn dog. Not where I am. They closed the last one close to me, and it was very
There's
sad.
one literally. Well, I haven't been to the mall in a long time, but there's one literally at the mall.
Well, when I come down there to visit you, we're gonna go get corn dogs and lemonade and go to the mall.
Sounds good. Let's go to
the
mall.
I read something about there being a pizza tie-in too at one point.
Yes.
When people were talking about the ice cream. They were like, yeah, but the pizzas weren't good. Also, Derek Hoover is here now.
Hello, Derek Hoover.
So,
all right.
So we
get into it?
Yes, I was gonna say we covered Allison's history with the episodes, and let's get into it.
I was listening. All right. Of course, I decided to take a sip right then. Okay, so we're gonna start with Stranger Things, Season 3, Episode 5, The Flayed. And the first note I have in all caps is screaming down the shaft.
That's oh goodness.
You hasn't been there.
And I really appreciated Dustin's amazing screaming is back for this episode because missed it from. I think he has to do it at least once a season at this point. But yeah, basically they all start freaking out, trying to figure out what to do to get out, particularly Erica. And Erica goes on about how, she's supposed to be over her friends and her friend will cover for her. But she has to be at her uncle's party tomorrow. And if she's not there, her mom will slit all their throats. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, that's a little extreme, Erica.
Wow,
but okay.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, that escalated very quickly. But I thought that was really funny. And Steve is like, girl, we have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hopper and Joyce pull up to a house with a Lynx van outside, which was the same as the delivery people at Starcourt. And they hear a weird sound and they find a hidden staircase underneath the bed when we also see the audience sees a motorcycle approaching the house, which, as we know, is the big hulking Russian dude who, from now on, I'm just going to call him the Terminator because...
That's essentially, right, he is basically the that's what they're going for, I think. Which,
I'll just kind of fast forward for a second, but at the end of this scene, when he's walking out of the house and holding the gun, that's, shot for shot, the Terminator. Yeah. And, how he's kind of walking, he's limping technically, but he's walking pretty stiffly is very Terminator-esque. So he, let's see. Oh, down underneath, they find two dudes, including Dr. Alexei, who we saw in the opening scenes of the series. And yeah, obviously, they're speaking Russian. They don't speak English. And then the big scary Russian dude, aka the Terminator, comes down and Hopper holds him up at gunpoint. But then they start fighting and Hopper, Joyce, and Alexei are barely able to get away. And Joyce can barely figure out how to drive again.
Brick.
Hi, Brick.
Brick.
And then, yes, I literally put in my notes, Russian walking around and out of the house with limp is very Terminator-esque.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
They definitely gave him that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I liked. And it wasn't also sometime once or twice on the show they've sort of screwed up the timeline a little bit. But since this is in 1985, it's totally was acceptable to me that they sort of were. There was that sort of Terminator riff because it was a year after. Mm-hmm. It's set a year after Terminator. Well, 84. I don't remember what part of 80. I didn't feel compelled to go Google when the Terminator came out to be like, I can't believe they got that wrong. But and sort of this season too, I was able to, especially going, because I just went back and rewatched these 2 episodes. I really sort of appreciate the little touches like that. I never,
Yeah.
I mean, I briefly thought it, but then I realized I don't actually ever feel like at this point I need to go check them to make sure it's the right time or whatever. I trust them at this point enough to be like, they can do that. We're good. I'm with it. So.
Yeah. Well, also, it's like that's something we're putting into it. It's not something they're necessarily seeing, but I think it helps in our mind that it still came out before this. I don't know.
Yeah, I just found Wikipedia says the movie came out 10/26/84.
Well, I mean, we're all complete geeks, so it's like for us, those little touches matter. Like I mean, we all 3 of us could probably name at least 1 or 2 mutuals we have that would lose their shit over that. And like, I will never watch it again because Terminator came out after that. So I don't know. I appreciate that stuff.
I don't know if I'm friends with anyone that's that gatekeepy, but
not anymore.
There are some other. Yeah.
I was being generous.
Not anymore.
Friends. We're aware of them.
Yeah. Aware of people that are like that.
Yeah.
Indeed. So then we have Nancy calling Jonathan from the hospital, where she's yes.
Yeah, we got distracted by the Terminator thing. You were asking about thoughts about that stuff. I was actually surprised that Hopper shot. Like, he had the gun to the back of the Russian's head, and the Russian was like, "You wouldn't do it," and Hopper was like, "You want to bet?" And right as he got to 3, he shot as the Russian was dodging. Like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, as we see, especially in these 2 episodes, but overall this season, like, Hopper doesn't give a fuck anymore. Like, he already didn't give a fuck. Now he really doesn't give a fuck. He is just, nope. He's gone off the deep end for sure. As he should. And I feel like Joyce is right along there with him. Like, she doesn't give a fuck. Like, she will put her foot down and tell you how it is and is not afraid, like, of who she's yelling at, and I just fucking love it. So go ahead.
Sorry. There's like you said, there's things that have to happen every season, like Dustin screams, Hopper going off the deep end.
Or Steve getting the shit beat out of him.
Yes, that was the other one I was going to say. Steve getting the shit kicked out of him, because that happened in these 2.
Okay, really quick. I know you probably have chatted about this on previous episodes, but since you brought up Nancy, what in the like middle school mom at the PTA is happening with her hair this season? Can we just have that moment of like, it's like, mom. It's
That's
like,
a good question.
My mom had that haircut that year, and I'm just like, she's not that old, guys. Anyway,
I'm trying to figure out the dress, because
there's like cutouts in it.
The square collarbone cutouts are weird. Like, I don't. Not that, I was in 1985. I was 5, so I wasn't paying a ton of attention to women's fashion at the time.
How dare you?
It's not something. I mean, again, the hair thing, it threw me, because it's just a very sophisticated thing happening there. Like, and if they wanted to make her look like she was 35, freshly divorced, trying to start over.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely tried to mature her, but also it could have been her, also trying to mature herself, especially working where she was working. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I will say, my sister, whose name is Nancy, coincidentally, she is 12 years older than me. So she would have been 17 in like 1985, which is probably right about Nancy's age in the show. She had that kind of, they had those, all those updos with bangs and like the hair, like that was a thing. That's how she wore her hair
I was
most of the
there,
time.
But I don't remember anybody who wanted to be
I was
cool
an egg.
and date a cute football player or a moody emo. Well, we didn't call them emo
85.
in 1985. But anyone who wanted to date like cute boys or cool boys with guitars or whatever is happening with Joyce's oldest son, you just don't wear that hair. That was like when you were trying to like date your best friend's dad haircut. So anyway. I mean, I'm being generous. I'm being really generous.
Yes.
Well, that was definitely not my sister. My sister was the academic in the family. Like,
excuse me.
So she was old beyond her years. Okay.
Yeah, the first one to like graduate college out of all of us, even though she was like the second oldest.
She went to college, got a degree, made something of herself. She's not on the internet on a Friday night talking about geek stuff. Got it. All right.
No, now she says her attention span has been wrecked by TikTok, so she couldn't focus for.
Wait, that's so funny.
Yeah, she.
I love
when I first told her about this channel, she's like,
Yeah.
I told her, I'm like, we're gonna be doing Star Trek reviews. It's probably not gonna interest you. Don't feel bad. You do not have to go and watch it. They're gonna be like an hour long. She's like, I can't last like 5 minutes anymore. TikTok has wrecked my attention.
Oh my
span.
God. I will say when I'm on TikTok, that happens to me. I went on the other night and I was watching. I'm like, why are we at a minute? And then we had it was a 10-minute video. I'm like, why are there 10-minute videos on? I just got on. I'm like, I'm gonna
It's
go to
funny
YouTube.
how they're all merging together because like Instagram got reels and then YouTube got shorts, but now TikTok has longer forms. So it's like pretty soon I feel like it's all just gonna go back to like YouTube, or it's all gonna go back to one platform.
And then
Anyways, we've completely gone off
Tangent
on a
time.
tangent time.
It was the haircut. See, this is what happens when you have bad hair.
I like everybody in the chat is dating themselves. We now know exactly how old everybody is.
Yeah, I was an
Everyone
egg. I was
should
not
date
born.
themselves. If you're not in a successful relationship with yourself, you can't be in a successful. Oh wait, your date. Never mind. Okay.
So yeah, we have Nancy calling Jonathan from the hospital, which, as we remember from before, this is post the Mrs. Driscoll incident last episode. And she asks to talk to Will, who isn't there, and asks if he's safe, which worries Jonathan. And Hopper's cop car has broken down, and Joyce is trying to talk to Alexi about the project, which was very funny. She's like,
Alexi
vroom,
seems
vroom.
nice for a communist Russian infiltrating America and trying to open a doorway to another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
We all make mistakes.
As you do. I mean.
Yeah. And you may or may not be right about that. So they end. Oh, and I love how Hopper calls Alexei Smirnoff. I completely forgot about that. It was so funny. And so they end up blowing up the engine.
Yes, it's definitely played for laughs, but it is kind of racist. And not that it's out of place for like the time because of the Cold War and whatnot. But yeah, he's reducing him to a nickname. But I mean, that was the mode of thinking. There's no way to.
Yeah. It
makes sense, and it is funny.
Yeah. Especially because it's a liquor.
Yeah.
So yeah, which I'm pretty sure is the vodka that they drink later. I forgot to like check it, but I'm pretty sure it's the one that Murray pulls out. So yeah,
probably.
They end up blowing up the engine, so they start walking through the forest, going to Hopper's friend in Illinois, but they're not going to Illinois. That whole conversation was very confusing, but yeah. But then suddenly Hopper is alone in the void, and we realize 11 is spying on them while the rest of the gang
was
watching.
A weird transition. I was like, what the just happened to Alexei? What's going on? And then I realized, I was like, oh. I thought things were getting real interesting for a second.
I completely forgot about that too. I'm like, what? There's a smoke monster now? Oh my God. So yeah, we see that she's with Max, Mike, Will, and Lucas, and they're asking her questions about it. And finally, we see 11's nosebleed being wiped away. There you go, Johnny. You were so worried about that. And there's a really cute moment of Max helping 11 clean her nose while Mike, Lucas, and Will try to figure out the end goal after they get the mind flayer out of Billy when Nancy and Jonathan show up. Any thoughts on those scenes? With Hopper in the car, or the nosebleed / kids trying to figure out a plan?
I liked them. Is that a thought or is that just a statement? Like,
Both.
I mean, I don't like that. That was sort of what was fun for me rewatching them. Like, I didn't have like season 2. I was full of like things I did not like, and in this one, I just sort of lost myself in this. Like, I had very few critiques. Even on the second viewing, I was just like, oh, this is just fun. Other than the hair,
Yeah,
like, it's, you know.
It's fun and scary, and yeah, I think they did a good job with this season.
Well, also, I think also a lot of, for season 5, for episode 5 here, what also happened is there's a lot of, especially these, like Hopper, like he's just such a fun actor. Like he's really charming.
So
he's really
good.
They all have so much chemistry with each other that even despite Nancy's hair, it's so fun to watch them, like, and watch them interact with each other. Like, it feels like off screen they all have good camaraderie. Like, they're probably I don't want to say friends because it's, you know, like,
from what it seems, they all seem pretty close, especially the kids.
Each other, and it really just for me like shows sort of, and especially these scenes, like they're having fun together despite. Especially, and I think it especially helps because something like the Russians. I mean, not that Stranger Things is very reality based, but a lot of sort of the Russian elements of it could, if poorly handled, could come across as really sort of like cliched, really like over the top. But I think what's selling it for me in these is just the actors. It's that chemistry with them and the way that they're approaching all of their roles. Like they're selling it for me, and I just
totally
like those are my thoughts. Like, anyway,
especially like at this point, because the kids have gotten a little older and, you know, have obviously had some more experience, and they've had time to develop that like real life chemistry and friendship with each other.
Well, and sometimes you can be a good child actor, but not a good young adult actor. So,
totally.
I'm getting sick of Will's shit. Not Will, Mike.
Mike, yeah.
Because like when Nancy and Jonathan knock on the basement door, and he's just like thinking it's his mom knocking, and he yells, like, first of all, if I'd have spoken to that like that to my mother in the 80s, I'd have got my ass beat because they did that back then.
If I did that in the 90s, same.
Okay, then I was just about good because I did talk back. What I will say though is, of all the kids, Mike is the one I can't stand the most. Like,
they got to do something about his. They got to do something about his haircut too, because it is awful. Like, I get that it's the 80s and they're supposed to like a bowl cut.
Next season, the haircuts get worse.
His haircut is awful.
I think it's that thing where it's like, let's call it. It's after 7 p.m. and we've been on. It's like bitch eating crackers syndrome for me with Mike at this point. It doesn't matter what he does. It's just going to be like, look at that bitch over there eating crackers. Who does she think she is? Like, that's where I'm at with Mike at this point, because he is and I think he's supposed to be annoying me, so it doesn't bother me. But it's not like how you hated, Steve all those years, Johnny.
All those years, aka since when did we start this? In September?
It's been a long year.
Yeah, because we started for Halloween last year.
It feels like it's been a long time. Like we've all been through so much since September. Like September, really? Just September? Anyway, But
That's
like,
crazy.
like, I don't know. I like Mike less and less because he just, again, I think it's the actor. Like, because I don't have an opinion about him else because I don't know who he is outside of this show. I know he was like in that Ghostbusters movie I haven't watched, right? Was he in the new Ghostbusters movies?
Yeah, he was good in
Yes.
that. Like, I don't have anything
Yeah.
against
I didn't
Finn.
watch those.
It's
I don't.
just
I've only liked one Ghostbuster movie, and it had women in it, and it wasn't
unlike apparently
the
Chris
other
does not
ones.
like Finn.
I didn't like 1984 Ghostbusters. The funniest joke was calling Gozer a bitch. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, like Mike is unlikable, but it's unlikable in a way
I'm not
I
gonna
enjoy.
comment.
Like, I don't know, like I'm digging him, but his hair, I think for me is 100% bitch eating crackers, where it's like it doesn't matter how good his hair is, he annoys me so much as a character at this point that I would hate it. Like he could have he could have like a Fabio haircut, which we thought was stylish at the time, and I would be like, what does he think he is, Sammy Hagar?
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's like once you get annoyed by someone, then like every little thing they do just annoys you.
yeah, right, and that's why
Which I totally do that with people, but I
it's
don't
the
care
character.
because it's usually warranted.
I feel like we're supposed to be annoyed with him
Yes,
now.
Johnny.
Kobe
Yes.
Smulders for me.
Oh
Robin
yeah.
Sparkles?
Mm-hmm.
Because I fucking hate Robin.
Yeah.
And anytime she's in anything, I see Robin and I go, fuck.
So you're telling me I shouldn't go watch that series? Because all I've seen are the episodes of... I've only seen the Robin Sparkles videos. I've not watched that show. So you're telling me don't go watch the show because if I love the videos, I will not love Robin Sparkles after watching the show.
I don't know.
I like Robin Sparkles. That part's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't like... I don't know if it's... It's been so long. I just remember all I remember is the hate.
Did she leave?
Yes.
Did she leave you brokenhearted in Santa Fe?
No, she left me annoyed in Albuquerque.
That happens in Albuquerque, though. I've never had a good time in Albuquerque. I don't think anyone has.
Yeah, I used to be a big fan of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, I saw.
But yeah, it's definitely aged poorly.
Yeah.
Like, there's still some pretty good humor in it. I rewatched it, I think, beginning of COVID. But...
then I could hate watch is what you're saying.
I think the main thing is I feel like they they went back to the Ted and Robin way too much. Like Ted or Robin and Barney I liked. Like I liked Robin and Barney, but whenever it came down to Ted and Robin, I couldn't stand her. Like so the rest of everybody else is worth it. Like Marshall's great, Lily's mostly okay, but I had a massive crush on Allison Hannigan, so
what you're saying is okay. Wait, this isn't how I met another geek out. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
it's okay. Tangent time.
Anyway, because I thought Robin Sparkles is the mother. Like, anyway. All right.
I have a tangent at the end. Once we're done talking about Stranger Things, I have a brief tangent I want to take us on.
This people watching is why they don't invite me on often, because this is what happens every time I come on something.
It's okay.
Remember that 3-hour Barbie stream where we barely talked about the Oppenheimer with old white people, and I'm like, I don't watch movies with old white people. Anyway.
So yeah, back in the shaft, on top of the elevator, Dustin is trying to code red the gang when Steve comes up to pee. LOL. And Robin asks him to redirect the stream, which was funny. That may or may not come up later. And let's see. And then Erica starts banging the tube of green ooze, and Robin stops her, and they start hearing something on the other side of the door when 2 Russian dudes come in and start taking out the boxes, and one of them does say, like, it smells like piss. And when they leave, Steve uses the tube to prop open the door before it closes, and it breaks right after, corroding the concrete underneath it like acid, which good thing Erica didn't drink it. And they realize they have a long corridor ahead of them, which I'm going to save that line for lines and moments. And then at Mike's, Nancy tells them about Mrs. Driscoll, and they start to connect the dots that she is also flayed, and so that there are more, including Heather. And Nancy realizes that it's Heather, their boss's daughter, and, you know, he was acting weird and he had blood on him and blah, blah, blah. And so they head out, and we have a funny moment of Mike and Will getting in the back seat of the wagon. And Will's like, yeah, this is welcome to my life, essentially, which I thought was funny. Anything on those before I keep going? Okay. So then the Terminator. You good?
Oh wait, I did have some. This is after she spies on Hopper and like they're going, or we're way past that, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
I got lost.
Mm-hmm.
They're leaving. One thing I wanted to say was with I may be jumping back a bit, but with 11 when she was talking about Hopper and saying they were going to Illinois, like she was just in Chicago last year by herself and got a bus back on her own. Why are they making it why are they making it seem like she doesn't know what Illinois is?
Maybe
Illinois?
Maybe she thinks it's pronounced differently because of how it's spelled.
Illinois.
Yeah, like I don't know if she's ever heard anyone say it before. Like maybe she's only read it.
It just seemed off to me. Like that was
good point, though.
That was my immediate thought. I'm like, didn't she charter a bus there herself too? Like,
she went on a bus.
Yeah, so she went. Like, and I'm guessing if you're in Indiana, you probably just need to say, "I need to go to Chicago," and people don't need you to say Illinois or Illinois or Illinois.
I'm just going to Chicago.
Illinois.
Yeah.
Illinois.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Continue. My apologies.
You're fine. So the Terminator shows up at Hopper's car and sees their footprints, which we cut to Hopper and Joyce bickering, only to have Alexi try to run away and find a 7-Eleven. They get a bunch of snacks, including the infamous Slurpee of Alexi's, which I've got and I'm almost done with. And
it was funny when you sent me this. I was like, who is that? I had no idea. And then when it came to that moment,
picture itself, that whole thing is like very well known.
Yeah, when it came to that point in the show, I was like, that tracks. That makes sense.
Yeah, like out of all the screen grabs that I was looking at, I was like, that's the one most people would recognize from these two episodes. The only other one was pretty much almost the same thing as what we did last week, like almost the same picture. It's like the gang, but outside of the Holloway's house. So I was like, I don't want to do that again. So Alexi it was with his Slurpee, his cherry Slurpee. And Hopper steals a dude's vehicle at the gas station using his badge, which when he pulled it out, I was like, that is the like shittiest looking wallet.
It looked like a piece of paper. Like
it didn't look like a badge. Yeah. Down in the tunnel, they talk about whether or not the green ooze is the Russians' endgame, and they think maybe it's being used to power something, but why Hawkins, which Steve and Dustin kind of break away and theorize that the Russians could know about the glory hole that's there to the Upside Down. And Steve tells Erica not to lump him in with the nerds when they start theorizing about stuff. When all of a sudden they hear the Russian code on their radio go off again and realize it must be close and that it could also reach the surface since they heard it there before. Any thoughts on those scenes? Nope. All right. At the Holloway house,
I
the gang...
actually, sorry, I didn't take a ton of notes for this episode. Like, there wasn't a lot that I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely involved and like watching and invested, but I just didn't have a lot that I felt I needed to take note of.
And the only note I have will send us on a tangent, and we're not even halfway through this episode, so we'll keep going.
Yeah. So let's see. So they show up at the Holloway house. They find pretty much a crime scene. Like, the house is cold. All the house cleaning chemicals have been eaten. There's blood on the carpet and rope in the basement where they were tied up. They guess that the mind flayer is trying to make something because, why put all these chemicals together? Which, very smart conclusion to come to for kids. And so then the Terminator shows up at 7-Eleven and interrogates the clerk where Hopper and Joyce went. And then they cut to Hopper, Joyce, and Alexei show up at Murray's house, who apparently speaks Russian. And when they go in, it's so funny. Like, he pretty much always calls it like it is, and he always can sense tension between two people, like you did with Nancy and Jonathan, because when Joyce and Hopper start bickering, he's like, okay, you're gonna need to stop your lovers' quarrel, and they're like, no, that's not what that is. And we're all like, that's exactly what this is.
So
exactly.
Like, aside from the weird, like, everything with like trying, like, manipulating two teenagers to hook up in his house from season 2, that was weird. Other than that, I think Murray's my favorite character in this show. He's fucking great.
It's weird, but not uncommon in the 80s, so there you go.
Yeah, Murray is great, especially because he just, sees it as it is, can, like, see through all that bullshit, and, like, obviously, like, fairly smart and just fucking funny and all the innuendos and shit. But Joyce does go off on him and it's like, we need to, like, get to the point. I need to find out why the magnets came off my fridge. And I was like, go off. Go fucking off. And then we're back. Oh, go ahead, Allison.
Oh, I was just going to say, and that's such, I can picture Winona Ryder and her daily life having that, like, quandary, like, and being, because she's very like that. So I could just imagine her being like, the magnets don't work anymore. And I don't know. I was like, she's really acting from her own life on that one. I adore her. I'm going to see her in Beetlejuice because, welcome home, Roxy Carmichael, as it were.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very excited about that. So back in the tunnels, they come to an intersection with a bunch of the Russians walking around, and somehow in their 2 seconds of looking, Erica is able to spot the comms room, which was somehow. And they go in it.
This facility is way more extensive than I expected.
Yeah. Like, also, how long were they building this for? Like, it's massive. What did you say, Allison?
Oh, I just said somehow Palpatine returns.
Oh. Somehow Erica spotted the comms room. So yeah, and they go in the room only to find a Russian is still in there, and which Robin tries to talk to him in Russian. And somehow Steve takes him out, and Dustin gets so excited that Steve won a fight finally, which was very cute. And Dustin and Erica fight over whether or not they need the key card or the radio. Meanwhile, Robin is following a blinking light coming from up a staircase in the room, which also the layout of this place is so crazy. And they find the chamber where the machine is trying to open the upside down pussy and see them loading the green goo into it.
God damn it.
Yeah, okay, you did say okay. I was like, wait.
Did you miss the glory hole to the upside down I said earlier?
I didn't realize.
Okay.
I mean, I just heard you say that, and I was just like, wait, she did? Oh.
Yeah, it's me.
It was just
hung out, Kayla, so I forget that.
It was just so casual, and the way you just slipped it right in there.
Yeah, I mean, I was like,
that's what they said.
No, and then you said that, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's literally what I write down. It's like not like I'm writing it to be funny. It's just like my inner thoughts.
It's like rewatching Poltergeist from 1982, and there's a giant interdimensional monster vagina in the closet. It's just that you just have to go with it.
Exactly.
Also, just because I didn't clock that, but as soon as you said, the upside down, I'm like, that's exactly what it is. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, and it's getting penetrated. I mean, we talked about that last season.
Yeah, but I forgot about it. I guess it just caught me off guard. Don't get me wrong; it was fucking hilarious. Obviously, just
yeah. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, we saw this, chamber, room, whatever, at the beginning of the season, and they're kind of like standing behind these doors with windows, like all these like vertical windows, and I'm like, how does no one see them? Like, how does no one see them through those windows? I get that they're all looking at the machine and the bussy, but like...
They're not, though. This is... Because I was particularly purposefully watching the windows as they panned out. There is a woman who walks across the front of the windows and then turns her back to the camera. So she's looking right at the windows that the Scooby Gang is, like, huddled up in. I call them the Scooby Gang because that's like
they're basically
what we called on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. All the friends she had that did investigations with her were the Scooby Gang. I don't know if you've ever watched Buffy. They call
I know
themselves
what we're
the
gonna
Scoobies.
watch after Star Trek with Kayla.
Like she was looking like that character. The way that she walked and turned, they were right there. Right there.
Maybe for the show, like the audience can see them, but maybe they're actually like it's like a one-way thing. I don't know.
I am curious. I was thinking about it during this. That kind of stealth. Like, we're sneaking around behind, but like, we do it in video games. You see it in movies all the time. I want to know how viable it actually is.
I don't know. They're also wearing like very bright outfits.
Yeah, so I did right. They stick out like a sore fucking thumb.
But yeah, between the Scoops uniforms and the My Little Pony backpack and Dustin's like green and yellow hat and. Is this shirt yellow or green or something? Yeah. Very brightly colored.
Khaki.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
So then Nancy and the gang show up to the hospital and her and Jonathan awkwardly go in the elevator to see Mrs. Driscoll, where Jonathan actually apologizes to Nancy for not believing her and pretty much says that she was right. So that was cute. Cue the dog barking. 11 knocks all the candy out of the vending machine, which Lucas tells Mike it's an olive branch, and Mike's like, the fuck is that? And Lucas is like, you are helpless, my friend.
Hopeless. He is. He absolutely
is.
Go. 100%.
Yeah, he is. And Nancy and Jonathan find Mrs. Driscoll missing when Mr. Holloway shows up and starts chasing them. And apparently, I was about to say Bussy's brother, Busey's brother, also got flayed. Meanwhile, Mike and Elle finally chat, asking her if her species likes M&Ms, which I was like, haha, cute, but you're still a poop. And compliments her new look, which I'm like, how do they, how does not 11 or feel anything yet? I know I know he does later, but in a little bit, but I don't know. I found that hard to believe.
So I have thoughts.
Okay.
So I'm surprised that they're connected. So it seems like it's a hive mind because, and particularly because we see in the fights, when
when someone
Nancy
gets hurt, the other person gets hurt.
Yeah, they feel it.
Well, that's how it was with Will. When they were doing the flamethrowers to the underground vines, Will was getting hurt.
Yes, but that wasn't two separate people connected.
No,
Will was the only one
still
connected to the vines.
Two separate things.
Yes, but so I would think if you hit one, the person's going to feel it and the main entity is going to feel it, but the other drone isn't necessarily going to feel it. But in this case, that is the case. And I feel like the reason that they don't sense, that Will and 11 don't sense the Mind Flayer, is that his focus isn't on those two drones. So if you picture the Mind Flayer as I don't know how to like a hub where and the Mind Flayer is at the center, and each of the people who have been flayed are a different node off of that hub. I would suspect that the Mind Flayer can move his consciousness from the hub into any particular node, and at that point he wasn't. The actual Mind Flayer entity was elsewhere, either in another one of the flayed or just at the steelworks. But when they started to get hurt, his consciousness went into those nodes. Does that make sense? You understand what I mean?
Yeah. I think you might just be overthinking.
Probably. 100%.
That was a lot of math, and I'm going to trust that you're correct.
Yeah.
Because they obviously have
It sounds right to me.
And they have distinct personalities. It's not
he calls,
they're all...
Busey calls her Nancy Drew. So obviously he's still, the human's still in there. Yeah. Nerd alert. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how I perceive it. I think
I can see that.
They're all connected, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the Mind Flayer is inside any of the flayed at a particular moment. And when
I think I see them as just extensions or nodes, like you said.
Yeah.
It's not actually him.
But he can move to them when necessary, which is, I think, is what he did.
With Billy.
Yeah. And that's when Will and Elle started to sense him because he was there.
Yeah. Because, I don't think Will senses him until they merge, right? We'll find out in a second when I read the notes. All right. Let's get to these last scenes. Let's see. Nancy and Jonathan are running through the hospital only to find a bunch of people lying around dead everywhere, which I'm like, how are there not alarms going off or anything?
Yeah.
Very odd to me. As someone who's been in hospitals many a times, visiting people, that's not how it works. But they get cornered.
It is the 80s, so you have to.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
have to take into account, not just the pandemic, but also how much 9/11 changed security for all sorts of things in the United States. Well,
not just that. It's just there's constantly nurses and doctors and staff people just walking around. If someone would have had to hit alarm.
Yeah, if they had a plan, they might have been able to sabotage, like, the systems, the alarms. In the 80s, the only place that there might be an alarm is like at the fire alarms or the receptionist desk for that floor, if there is one.
Which she was on the phone.
Well, but she was on a different floor. Like,
Well,
if they went,
to be fair, the doctors and nurses might have been going to the smoking lounge to smoke. So, like,
or it was later at night. It was later at night. I was surprised that when she stopped them at the receptionist desk, I was surprised she wasn't like, visiting hours are over.
Yeah.
Like, that she was just like 2 at a time, not being like, you can't go up, visiting hours are over.
I don't know.
But yeah.
Hi. Are you done barking at
It's
everything?
Suspension of disbelief, right?
Yes,
we're
definitely.
nitpicking.
At the time, I didn't notice. But now that we're digging into it, I'm willing to go there. So. It's fine, but somebody else can. So let's dissect it and rip it apart and criticize it.
Let's see. So yeah, they get cornered in a room. When Busey comes in and Jonathan tries to fight him but gets beat down, and Nancy stabs him with scissors, and she escapes, leaving Jonathan behind, who Holloway then finds and starts beating him up even more. Then Nancy traps Busey and starts hitting him with the fire extinguisher. I put fire hydrant. Whoops. Which, yeah, that's when we see how it affects Holloway at the same time. And Jonathan ends up stabbing him in the neck with scissors. And I was just thinking this whole time, I was like, this must have been so satisfying for Nancy to stab them and hit them after how they treated her.
Yep.
And then we see the lights go out, and yeah, that's when Will finally realizes that shit is going down. So yeah, I think it's when they start to merge that he's like actually there. So yeah, they turn into Holloway and Busey turn into blobs, and they combined to create a physical manifestation of the Mind Flayer. Nancy conquered the bussy, yes, and we end the episode with a nice Mind Flayer growl, which was very fucking creepy.
Yeah, my last notes are, what the fuck? That thing, that's another possibility. Is maybe once, because they're not shapeshifters, right? Those were the bodies of Tom and whatever. I think it said Bruce in the subtitles.
Yeah, I took it as like organic goo, like the blob.
Yeah,
it reminded me of my ex's mom whenever she would take her bra off. Frankly.
So like they're not shapeshifters in that sense, but like when they die, they're tied to the Mind Flayer. So maybe when they kill, Bruce and Tom, they revert back to actual Mind Flayer, and that's when it has to be there and like direct that part, because we see much later.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
We see in the next episode what happens. So I don't know. There's different possibilities.
Yeah. I could see that. That makes sense to me. It's like they're like, they're still being controlled, but since they're alive, they can physically do that. It's like they just need their synapses sent. So yeah, that makes sense to me. Any other thoughts on the episode before we get into episode 6?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I got all the dark out that I needed to about.
Shout out to the license plate. The Todd Father.
Yeah, which I immediately thought of Todd McFarlane, and I was gonna put him in the memes, but then I was like, there's better things.
I thought of Chris, Shiny Plastic People, because I know he refers to them as the Todd Father. I don't know if that's a term he coined, or if that's just what the community calls him.
Chris, if you're still here, let us know.
Yeah, Chris.
But
clue us in. We need
yeah,
to know
I
how
had to
deep the
laugh
shape goes.
At Chris. Too bad we can't like at him in this chat here. Just on YouTube, not on StreamYard. All right.
I mean, it doesn't really give any kind of alert either, aside from highlighting their name. So
Yeah, that's true. All right, shall we
Anyway.
move on to E pluribus unum?
yes, I have even
Decide,
less notes
stand
for this episode.
or sitting. It's because they're such good episodes.
Yeah.
You just get sucked right into them, sucked right into the pussy. So we essentially kind of start where we left off, where we have the kids staring at the pussy, and they explain to Robin and Erica that they've seen this before, and this is really, really bad, only to realize the Russian Steve beat up is now gone, and the Russians start chasing them, which we get the Death Star siren alarm copy and paste. And I was like, how do the kids not recognize this alarm? Like, they're Star Wars fans. This sounds exactly like the fucking Death Star alarm. Anyways, okay. Just me.
I didn't place it. Maybe.
What?
I don't know. Yeah,
Sounds
I didn't
exactly
place
I
it.
didn't
like it.
either, and yeah. I'm sitting here trying to realize why I didn't put two and
I'm
two
trying to
together.
think, when does the Death Star
I'm
have an
shocked.
alarm that goes off?
In New Hope, and also I think they play it in Rogue One. Probably because I've seen Rogue One a lot.
Maybe. I don't remember.
I mean, it's totally possible. Like,
Look up the video. We'll play it after we finish talking about this episode. Just look up like Death Star siren sound. Once you hear it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah. Don't do it now. We'll do it after the episode. Anyways, so somehow they just run by a bunch of people who do nothing, that just like literally watch them run by, which, you know, as we mentioned about last episode, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. But they get trapped in a room, and Robin and Steve hold the Russians back on the door. Hold the Russians back with the door while Dustin and Erica escape down a hatch, which I guess wasn't a hatch. It was ended up being the vent or something.
Yeah, it seemed like it was underfloor venting.
Okay.
But Steve's like, go get some help. And I'm like, from fucking who? Who?
Yeah.
Who are they going to
government.
find that is
know.
going to believe these two children?
Yes, I know. These two small children.
About a Russian conspiracy with a secret base under the mall that's opening a portal to another dimension. Who's going to fucking believe these kids? I mean, Hopper and Joyce probably.
Yeah.
Oh, Joyce is all over this. She's just like, yeah, let me go. We're in. Let's do it.
Tell me when and where, and I'll be there.
Let me get the tinfoil helmet so we're protected while we're inside.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, so then I'll save that line for later. At the hospital, Will gets his willy tingles saying that he's here, and the kids go after him while the creature chases Nancy, who locks herself in a room only to have the creature melt down and go under/through the door vent to get to her. And the mind flayer hits Nancy across the room and pins her down while Jonathan tries to get in, only for Elle to finally show up. Took her forever. And throw the creature around and out the window, which they run outside and watch it go down the grate. And we slowly watch it end up with the giant fucking mind flayer and Billy saying it's time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I was like, what a way to start an episode.
Yep.
Any thoughts on those scenes?
My only note is Jesus, and I think that was Elle
Jesus,
fighting
Mary and
the
Joseph.
mini flare and chucking it out the window, and then it melting.
Yeah.
My only note I put in chat, ooze.
Ooze. The ooze.
No oozes.
So yeah, then we have the fun fair is getting set up while Mayor Klein is supervising. What?
My note for this is, this will be amazing. That fair is fucked.
So yeah, Mayor Klein is supervising and spots the Terminator. They have a talk in the Gravitron, which I definitely brought up in my spoilers without context. And Klein says he's looking out for Hopper, and the Terminator gets mad at him and chokes him, and the ride starts spinning and tells him he has one day to find him. And Hopper shows up back at Murray's with Burger King and another Slurpee, and which fun tangent, because I had to look up Burger King for reasons that'll make sense later. They've only changed their logo, only had one major change in the last 50 years. There were 3 logos at first, essentially, and then they changed to the logo that's actually the logo now. Can I help you? And then they changed it to the logo that we'll see in a little bit. And then literally in 2020, they changed it back to the other logo it was before. So it's for almost 50 years, it's only been 2 logos. And for most of the time, it's been the one that it is now, which is kind of crazy. So that was my fun little tangent.
it's one of those things that the third logo, I'm looking at the picture of all the logos. The logo from 69. Mm-hmm. Nice. Mm-hmm. That logo is pretty timeless, right?
Yeah.
You can't it doesn't look dated like some of the original logos. The first logo doesn't. I don't understand what the rising sun has to do with burgers.
I don't either.
Yeah. But yeah, and that current logo, which came out in 99, that was very 90s-fied. Late 90s, early 2000s, new millennium. Y2K is gonna kill everybody. That's it's like that fucking cup. You know exactly. I just have to do this, and everybody knows. Yeah, everybody knows what I'm talking about. The fuck Jerry cup. Why is
there's an Instagram account that's called Fuck Jerry that posts a lot of memes. I don't know if it's still around, but it was really big in the early days of Instagram and for a while. But that was their logo. It's fucking cup.
It's like Saved by the Bell graphic design, because the Saved by the Bell intro is very nice. That's what everybody was redoing their logos, and Pepsi redid their logo in the 90s to be more modern and more hip. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotta appeal to them kids. Gotta be cool.
The youths.
Here, drink Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah. But anyway, that Burger King logo is pretty timeless. So there's something
sort
to
of
be said for good design.
It and streamlined it, but it's still basic.
Yeah. It's still essentially the same logo. They just adjusted the kerning on the font.
And there's
kerning, wow. Yeah. Fancy words.
It's, if you don't know, it's the space between how much space is between the letters is kerning.
Good to know. So anyways, that was our tangent time. So they try to question a lot of those this evening. Yes, they try to question Alexei, but he insists on a cherry Slurpee since they got him strawberry. And this is when Hopper completely goes off on Alexei and starts throwing him around and throws him outside with the keys and tells him to get his own damn Slurpee. And this is when he tells Murray and Joyce that he could have run away, but he didn't because he's scared of the Russians. And if he goes back without any harm on him, they're going to think that he, gave them info. So Alexei starts to take off in the car just when Joyce and Murray run outside to find him stopped at the gate. And he comes back... what's the word? Not slouching.
Sullen.
sullen, still not the quite word, but like defeated. Another word for defeated. And he's like, I guess I like strawberry.
Strawberry is the best.
Resigned?
Though. Like he really resigned is good, but I think more like.
Bye, Derek. Thanks for stopping by. I guess essentially like defeated. So yeah, back underground, Dustin and Erica are in the vents. Where...
Oh wait, you moved on too quick.
Sorry, you didn't stop me.
That's what I'm doing.
While
now.
you talk, I'm gonna adjust the lights because it's getting dark.
I was shocked. I thought that Alexei was going to leave. He was going to get away, but Hopper was right. Like, because, like, it's 50-50 on Hopper being competent and incompetent at things. So, like, he was so confident about this that Alexei was gonna stop and come back, then I'm like, he's gonna be wrong. He's gonna lose him, but he wasn't. So I was very surprised that Alexei actually stopped and came back.
Yeah. I like totally forgot about that, but I was listening to Hopper. I'm like, he has a good fucking point, especially because of how like ruthless the Russians are, and like, you know, especially if they wanted to keep it secret. Like if he went back without like any kind of harm done to him, which he totally could have, like, you know, injured himself to make it look like someone else had injured him. But still, the risk was too high.
It's not humbled, subdued rather.
Oh, you're still trying to find the word. Don't worry about it.
Discouraged.
Really quick, while you're doing that, can we just talk
Overcome?
about how awesome Gravitron is as a ride? Okay.
I haven't been on one in a long time.
Same,
are they
but
still around?
According to
sure
Wikipedia, yes. And it
I mean,
I'm sure
that
they are.
one.
appeared in 1983, and my mom left them, so we went on them every year. So.
Oh, that's so funny.
The
And
one
so
that was
I-
in the show looked brand spanking new.
It did.
So,
And it looked like something that was in something else.
They used
yes,
to always
I
play
immediately
good
thought of that.
music on it.
I see that you used it in your meme. I'm surprised I didn't
did.
think of using it.
I'm
People last
surprised
time I went
too.
on when they played Sweet Child with Mine by Guns N' Roses.
Nice. Let's see. So, back underground, Dustin and Erica are in the vents where Dustin is explaining everything that's happened with the Upside Down and Elle and the Demogorgons, etc. And then the part that Erica doesn't believe is that Lucas was involved in all of it, which I thought was funny. I was like, oh, I just love Erica. She's so great. And then she computes the time it would take them to get back when Dustin realizes that she's a nerd between the math, politics, and My Little Pony, which he literally goes over like what recently happened in the My Pony universe and is like, you know, that's all the basics of like nerd culture. And it's like, you're a nerd. And Dustin stops the fan. And it's funny though, because he like finishes that and he like stops the fan at the same time so they can go through. Good timing.
He made a very compelling argument for My Little Pony being
which is why it's so
fantasy.
big at cons now. Not because of this, but like I always kind of wondered about it. And I feel like it's even more so since this episode of Stranger Things, it's got even bigger at cons. The
recent popularity
a lot of the
of
elements.
all the Friendship is Magic show. I know that show. I've not watched it. That show was a phenomenon. A friend of mine, she was actually a My Little Pony collector. She's been to like My Little Pony cons and everything. We actually went and saw the My Little Pony movie when it came out. I went with her. It was really fun. It was actually a really fun movie.
Cute.
But I've never watched the show.
I have not either.
But yeah, that was a phenomenon. That's
My
like when
Little
Monster High took
Pony.
off too.
I remember like watching My Little Pony back in the day, but it didn't grow up with me. And recently, I was like, "What's elements of the fandom are just like, I'm good." So it's gotten a little weird. So, but not in a fun way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah. So then let's see. Where was I? Oh. Meanwhile, Steve is getting interrogated / beat up by the Russians, saying he works at Scoops Ahoy, which this scene was just so funny. He's like, I works at Scoops Ahoy. Like, you think if I was a spy, I would be in this fucking sailor outfit? And he tries to bargain with them, saying he'll give them ice cream, and they start laughing because of course he does.
This is where I wrote, Steve getting the shit kicked out of him is a tradition now.
Mm-hmm. And Steve and Robin get tied up together back to back in a room, and Robin spits in the Russian's face, and they leave them. 11's in the void looking for...
Billy?
Yeah, I put everyone. I don't know.
Well, she had because she had pictures of Heather and her parents in front of her.
Oh,
and,
that's why I put everyone.
Mrs. Driscoll.
Yes.
Like she was trying to find whoever would lead her to.
Yes, that's right.
Billy and the Mind Flayer.
Yeah, and she's gone through a lot of bloody tissues, which not good. Probably lost a lot of blood. And Nancy, Jonathan, and Will wonder if he's stopped flaying because there hasn't been any chemicals stolen recently. When meanwhile Mike and Max are arguing over who should decide Elle's limits, and literally everyone gangs up on Mike, which was just so great.
Great.
And yeah, Nancy was like, first of all, she tells Mike off that there is a real problem. Like, Elle's not doing this for nothing, like Mike first says. And that Elle is her own person with her own free will. And I'm like, fuck yeah, she is. Let's go, Nancy. Nancy's starting to redeem herself a little bit. And Mike tells Lucas about Elle and Max spying on them and gets mad because he's worried about her. And then he word vomits that he loves her and can't lose her again, which everyone's like, oh, you said the thing. And of course, right after that, Elle walks in, which is very awkward, but don't think she heard that. And she says that she found him. Any thoughts on those scenes?
Fuck Mike. He doesn't know what love is.
I want to know what love is. I want you to show me.
It's like him and his sister's hair. It's just like, what is happening in your family? But at least the sister's not insufferable. Like Nancy's okay. Like I like her, but not the brother.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do you have anything, Johnny?
It's interesting because, like, is there a main character in the show? Like, 11's the main character, right? Is it an ensemble?
I would consider it way more of an ensemble, frankly.
Yeah, I think so.
In the first season, it definitely felt like Mike was the main character.
A little.
So it's interesting that he's such a piece of shit. Now,
I mean, there are main characters that we don't like in things, so it's possible.
Or maybe not main character, but the protagonist.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I don't think he's ever been. I think it's been more like Will, 11, Joyce, Hopper.
I mean, it's hard though because for the first season, like 11 and Will wasn't in like 3/4 of the episodes.
No.
And 11 was in she was in more than half, but she wasn't with the group for the majority of the season. Maybe half the season. It was like...
I think it was a little more than half the season for the first season.
How many episodes was the... Was it
I think
8?
it was 8. Yeah.
So like 5 out of 8 episodes, I think she was with them. I don't think it was 6. I don't remember. It's been a while since
Something like that. Yeah.
But I don't know. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
He's definitely not the main character now, though.
No. Definitely not. So yeah, we're back at Murray's. Alexei has drawn out the machine and explains the Russians' plans. The machine is called the Key, and apparently they use transformers near all the properties that they've bought up to steal energy from the town's power grid. And apparently they made a lot of these keys in Russia, but they didn't work. They realized that they needed the location as well. Like that was a key element. Ha ha ha. He says it creates a doorway between worlds because it had been opened before in Hawkins and was still healing, and they're trying to open it again, and it is starting to open. And suddenly Jim storms out looking for whiskey, and Murray gets him vodka, which I think was Smirnoff vodka. And they start doing shots and then go back and ask Alexei if there's a way to turn off the key, because they're like, this is real bad. This is real bad. And he says he can, but he's now compromised, and Jim says he can get him in there, and Alexei laughs at him and calls Jim a fat Rambo and tells him it is impossible to get in there. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of kids that got in super fucking easily.
It's just the 80s kids. Like, we could get into anything. Like,
I literally wrote down some impenetrable fortress because the Scooby Gang got in. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, you know, they're all Gen X. Like, and the way it worked is like you were a latchkey kid, and sometimes your parents would be gone all day, and if you locked yourself out, you had to get in the house somehow, and you got in the house, and your parents didn't know that you ever locked yourself out.
I did that as a kid too.
And so, you know, they're 80s kids. I mean, the Goonies is a little exaggerated, but it's pretty close to what our childhoods were like. There were fewer pirates and more creepy uncles, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I had to break into my house through the window a couple of times because I forgot my key.
Oh, I scaled the roof one time, and like,
I've had to break into some of my clients' houses because I've locked myself out.
Chris is back. I don't. He hasn't chatted in a while, so I don't think he was here. Chris, did you coin the term Todd Father for Todd McFarland, or is that part of the something the community did?
Is that the lexicon?
Which is very funny because it immediately cuts to the scene of Dustin and Erica finding a room of the green goo containers everywhere. Oh, you didn't coin it. Okay. Darn.
In my head canon, you did.
And they find a kind of
well,
golf
that's
cart
fucking vain.
thing.
You can't. No, that's not allowed. What the fuck? You can't start just.
I wouldn't put it past him. Do you want to highlight the comment you're talking about?
Yeah.
LOL.
Yeah, I agree, Allison. Like, Chris
is
where I heard it
first. Can you say that word, Johnny?
What?
Or that phrase?
The Todd
that
Father?
Allison just commented.
Oh, fuck off.
Come on, you can do it.
You can do it. Just
you
push
can do
your
it.
mouth
We believe
together.
in you. Actually, you got to start with it. A gape. Come on.
I was gonna say something and now I lost it.
You can do it.
It wasn't that word.
You can do it.
Oh, I first was exposed to it.
Who doesn't know? It's like
from
what the fuck.
Chris. So I always, whenever I hear Todd Father, I always think of Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, continue.
You gotta say it, or else we're not gonna continue.
I guess we're not continuing.
Come
I'm not
on,
a monkey. I'm not a monkey here for your amusement.
We're trying to help you get over your weird thing. Remember, we talked about this before. We're trying to help you.
I mean, and the person behind me like finally shut off the weed whacker because it's like 8:37 on a effing Friday. So
This is the kids at home. This is the peer pressure that they tell you about in high school. Okay.
Johnny,
Yes.
you'd have more friends if you just said it. Like,
Yeah, you
people
would.
like you. You'd be super popular, and somebody will ask you to prom.
I'll tell you a secret. I don't want any more friends.
No, Johnny hates people.
Aw.
I'm
But at
missing
least
that.
he's not a narcissist. Like some people that hate other
Thank
people.
you.
Anyways.
You have to be a narcissist to be on the internet. Just kidding.
No, not so much narcissist, just there was something that someone said. I don't know. Anyways, you have to
It's
have a level
my-
of confidence, I think.
It's my Leo moon.
Yeah, you're Leo.
Wants to be the center of attention.
The moon was in Leo.
Mm-hmm. That checks out. Anyways, so yeah, they find this little golf cart thing, and Dustin is trying to find a key for it when Erica sees a big ass cage, which I think was maybe big enough for the Demogorgon. Although we kind of saw it from her perspective, so I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know how tall it was because she's obviously short because she's a child.
That was
so-
definitely the implication that they were
I
They
think
were giving
so,
was that
'cause
there
she
were
was asking
Demogorgons in
about
that.
it. And she also finds a big ass cattle rod taser thing.
Yeah, cattle prod is
Cattle prod rod, same thing.
probably for the Demogorgon.
The Demogorgons, yeah. And there's also a random plant down there near where
Yeah,
Dustin
just-
finds the keys, and I was like, how is this plant growing without sunlight?
Maybe they've got
And why
UV
is it
light
there?
bulbs. Because will plants grow with just
yeah.
UV light bulbs? Yeah, because that's how
I guess, 'cause,
growers
yeah.
grow fucking marijuana.
Mhm.
I just thought
Yeah.
it was. I thought it was a Little Shop of Horrors plant reference.
It could be. Might be.
Maybe
I
the
don't know
next
that.
season that because there's I don't. I'm gonna take it. Season 4 does. Maybe there's a killer plant in the final season that's like been growing down there. All somehow Palpatine
Dun,
returned to
dun,
this plant.
dun.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Have you ever seen that, Kayla?
Huh?
Have you ever seen Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
No.
Okay. Well, we have an
I
idea.
remember-
But we're not.
I don't think I've seen the movie. I remember the cartoon.
Oh, well then.
Was it a
Anyways,
cartoon?
so
Yeah.
moving on. Robin is yelling for help when Steve wakes up. And this is what I wrote in my notes. At least once a season, Steve gets the shit beat out of him. And they devise a plan to hop their chairs over to get scissors, but end up falling over because, of course. And Robin starts laughing at the scenario that they're in. And she asked Steve about one of the classes they were in together. And she sat behind him every, I think she said Tuesday, Thursday, or something like that for a year, and asked if he remembers her. But, of course he doesn't remember. And she talks about how obsessed with him and just like the popular kids she was, and how, she always wanted to be popular and fit in and feel accepted, which Steve mentions it's not all it's cracked up to be, though, which I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Which, like, yes. Yeah, I was like, but like also you were an asshole. And he admits it. Which is good. We see some growth with Steve, whether Johnny likes it or not.
Steve has become tolerable at this point. Season 1, Steve was the worst. Season 2, he became acceptable. Season 3, it's because Robin appreciates him, and Robin basically can do no wrong. Although I will say her little conversation with him, I feel like was some misdirection, but that's for you guys to speak about next week. But I'm just going to say, I feel like it was misdirection, and it felt to me like, I guess I've judged Robin wrong this whole time when she said that. So anyway. Because, I clocked the Robin thing that happens next episode. So, anyway.
Yeah, I was like, I think that's next episode.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yes, Johnny. Oh my god. Were you
I
gonna
don't
say
remember
something? Okay.
It's gone.
She mentions if they had been friends, they would be in much different places now. But they said they're glad they met each other, though. Very, very cute moment. And Russians come back in with, I'm guessing, is a true serum, and they inject it into Steve and Robin. And Elle goes back into the void and sees Billy in his room, and they realize it's a trap, but Elle has an idea to try to figure out where Billy has been. It's the same thing she did with her mom, where, you know, if you touch someone in the void, I guess you can see their memories. So Elle goes up to Billy, who's sitting on the bed, and grabs his hand, asking to see what happened. When he grabs her back and she falls, seeing glimpses of what's happened to him when she ends up on a beach in Billy's memory. And it's Billy in California surfing as a wee child, and his mom is watching in the distance there's a crazy storm that Elle thinks is the source. And then we go to Murray's, where Jim tries to get in touch with Dr. Sam Owens from last season to let the lab people know that the Russians are there, totally giving away all his info and phone numbers and whatnot, which that was an actual phone number. It wasn't a 555, unless, isn't there a new one now that's not 555 that's like a fake number? I don't know if it was one of those, but it wasn't 555. So I wonder if it actually called something, if they also did that for the show.
Yeah, they may have, because I'm going to have to go and look at see what the
Well,
number was now.
what's funny about the 555 thing was this is why I don't always care for the younger generation. There was somebody complaining.
You're about to say hate.
Yeah, but I don't really hate them because that takes a lot more emotion and attachment to them than what I have. But there was some child, probably in their 20s or whatever, but whatever, that's a child. The youth was on like X, Grimes's ex-boyfriend's platform, and was like, they used the number in the movie and it's not a real number. Why? It's so fake. It took me out, and it's like, sir, we have been doing this since like forever. Please go away. Get off the internet. Because, like, you could figure that out by Googling, sir, not by a whiny. But again, it is Grimes' ex-boyfriend's platform, so it is pretty much just whiny at this point to the top. So, But it annoyed me. So, anyway.
618-625-8313. So, the thing that I always think about when I think about area codes and phone numbers in movies is The Last Action Hero. When the kid's in the movie and trying to convince Arnold Schwarzenegger's character that it's a movie, he's like, "Oh, why do all your phone numbers start with 555?" And he's like, "Area codes." Because a lot of the times they don't say an area code. Like in older shows, at least, they didn't say the area code. Yeah, they just say 555, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I feel like
the irony of the Terminator.
But hey, somebody in the chat, call that number and see if there's like a recorded message from Murray.
Someone do it. Type the number in the chat, Johnny.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, Johnny.
Hang on. Come on, Johnny.
So yeah, Joyce calls them back though because she's really anxious about their kids and yells at them, telling them they need to come immediately. And they all leave to head back to Hawkins, which. Yeah, once again, Joyce is just pulling out her, I don't know, all of her mom energy, I guess is the best way of saying it.
I enjoy Joyce,
everyone.
But there are some times where I'm just like, you're such a helicopter parent. Could you just, I mean, I get it. Her son is kidnapped and taken.
Although this season, she's kind of not, considering how they're away from Will and Jonathan for so long.
Yeah, there is that. But at the same time, she's just, when it's convenient, which is very Gen X mom. So never mind. But just, there was that whole season where she was talking to him through the lights. Like, oh my God. Anyways.
618 is an actual Illinois area code.
Really?
Huh.
Yeah. They had to have set up like a Google Voice.
So they did go to Illinois.
Really?
Yeah.
So they must
Right.
have been close enough to the border.
There is something.
Oh,
Look at that.
sweet!
All right. So I know what I'm doing as soon as we're
So
done.
they did set it up. I love
Yeah.
that. We love that. Of course they did, because their budget was probably crazy. But yeah, I love how Joyce says, this is Antique Chariot's partner, Wheelbarrow.
I mean, you can get a Google Voice number for free and just set
Okay,
up.
Johnny, just...
Oh my.
Set
Well,
up a
Brooke, what did
voicemail.
you do? I mean, like maybe you earned the berating. Like,
And he's
did you?
berating me. And you like it, Brick.
That's
I'm
Brooke.
gonna have to call it when we're done.
Being
Now,
berated by
Yeah, me
Murray.
too.
It reminds me of the time I worked in
They
loss prevention.
Brought
and I got a
the
call from
Illinois.
Morty Weena.
So then Robin and Steve are pretty much high as fuck now, thinking that the drug didn't work when the Russians come in with a bunch of torture tools and they're about to pull out. It looks like they're about to pull out Steve's fingernail when Robin tells them about the code that they heard, which spirals into Steve saying that Dustin will go get Hopper, who's going to call the cavalry and crack down on them. And then we have the Death Star siren alarm once again happening. And we find out that Dustin and Erica caused a diversion by eroding a hole that is apparently going through many floors of this place, which once again, this place is fucking massive. And Dustin uses the prod to electrocute the doctor, quote unquote, and free Steve and Robin.
Hi, Duchess.
Hello. And then we go back to Elle is on the beach walking towards the storm when she sees she starts to see a bunch of Billy's memories. The first one as a kid playing baseball and his dad is yelling at him and grabbing him, calling him a pussy. Then a memory of his dad yelling at his mom and grabbing her and hitting her, thinking that she had an affair. Then Billy on the phone with his mom, who's clearly leaving them. Which is really sad that she leaves them, but doesn't take Billy with her.
Yeah. To the point where I was confused for a bit because I was like, forgot that it's Billy's dad and Max's mom that are together. Like, and I thought it was like, it confused me to the point that I thought it was flip flopped, that it was like Billy's mom and Max's dad. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that kind of sucks. But yeah, then Billy is beating up a kid and calling him a pussy. And then we see Max joining the family. And we go all the way until she gets up to the Brimborn steel factory that's in the eye of the hurricane now, which we kind of hear snippets of when Billy is at the factory and being pulled down into the hole, LOL. And Elle comes out of the void and everyone's gone, but she's not quite back because Billy walks out and says she shouldn't have come back because now they can all see her. She let them in and that she's going to have to let them stay. And they've been building it for her. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Meanwhile, all the townspeople are now going towards Steelworks, and Billy says he's going to end her friends, everyone when she finally breaks out of it and breaks down in tears in Mike's arms, because of course. And then we cut to a parade of people turning into goo to make the Mind Flayer bigger and bigger until he breaks out of the cellar. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun!
And now all of
Fucking
that goop
crazy shit.
works for Gwyneth Paltrow.
Okay, I need to go yell at this dog. I'll be right back.
Right.
Discuss while I'm gone for all of 2 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah,
He will
I'm
not
sure we
stop
can find
working.
The we can all see you. The only thing I had written down was like, oh, that's not good. Like, and all the bodies walking to it and then collapsing and like feeding back into the main thing. We're gonna have a rather large It's gonna what is it? I'm assuming it's gonna end up being a kaiju like it was in,
Yeah,
because in Will's visions it like towered over everything in the Upside Down, right?
yeah, no, I just what for me, like what I was thinking is like I feel bad in 20 years when like the forensic scientists have to like figure out the DNA of like the gelatinous muck. Like it's
Yeah.
going to be really confusing. Like because you know I watch a lot of,
Gelatinous cube.
yeah, well more like gelatinous like blob of like people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Of
so,
legs. That's why I called it the Superfly monster from the new TMNT movie, because it is a
Yeah.
mush of everything.
it is kind of a little Jeff Cronenberg-esque in its gooiness. So
Ooey gooiness.
yeah, like it did remind me of something you would see like in Cronenberg, like yeah. So
Ooey gooey.
it's just not about.
Yeah. Oh well, Johnny's. He's gone. Bye bye.
My headcanon is he's safe.
Oh yeah, he's good. I realized I couldn't see the private chat. Did you have any overall thoughts on these two episodes? Because they kind of went together, just how the last two episodes went.
Yeah,
together.
they.
Nice.
That was sort of one thing about I think this season is it feels like all of the episodes are actually almost like they intended them to be like watched in pairs that way because they really sort of feed into each other. And like for me, this is the fun part, in my opinion, of this season because this is sort of the first, obviously, couple of episodes is setting everything up, but this is like sort of really getting everything to that fun place where it's like everything's advancing, all of the mystery, not the mysteries isn't there, but they're solving sort of like the low key, the little tiny mysteries that need to be solved so you can get to the big spectacles that are spectacle of like the last two episodes. And what's fun about, and it kind of ties into like the mall, but it's like this season's really big and expansive. Like,
it is.
You know, and it's like the mall is this huge, extravagant set, and like every time we are at the mall, I'm really excited because I miss malls. But I also just you know not now because they're sad and empty, but like back in the day,
how
like,
they used to be.
Like how they are here, and I don't know, like there's something really fun to me about this season. Like season 2, like I mentioned earlier, was a little. There are a few things that didn't quite land.
Season 2 is pretty dark too.
It felt dark, but too dark. Not, like season 1 is dark, Justice for Barb.
Yeah.
But it felt like they went too dark, and there wasn't as much of the humor that the first season has. And I feel like with this, there's a lot of Scoops Ahoy is great.
Justice for Barb.
But Scoops Ahoy is also pretty ridiculous in a great way. Like, it's very 80s in its ridiculousness. So what I really liked, and I'm trying to contain it to these 2 episodes, but what I really like is it's sort of over the top. It's very 80s extravagant without being too unrealistic about it, but it's also just fun.
Yeah.
And like the world, it's very big, it's very expansive. Like there's a lot of world building that happens in these 2 episodes that sort of obviously for the rest of the season will pay off. But just at the same time, like I said, I haven't watched season 4 yet. Gonna happen this weekend probably. But like
do
it feels like they're really opening things up in a way that will pay off for the next 2-3 seasons. So
yes, you are correct in that without giving too much away for either of you actually.
Yeah, right. And
I was gonna say with what you were saying before with expanding, and then also, you know, there's like a lot of small things that like are interconnecting, but also we're starting to see kind of this overarching storyline. At least I am rewatching it now for the first time since watching the 4th season. That I'm like, oh wow, I think they really I think they might have known all of these things from the beginning. Like maybe, at least maybe the second season. I don't know if they knew them in the first season where they were going with it, but probably the second season because I noticed some things in that, but definitely in this season for sure.
I feel like after season 1, my memory is that they renewed it through season 5 after season 1. So and if I'm remembering that correctly, it would make sense that they sat down sort of before season 2 and sort of mapped a bunch of stuff out so that the big arcs, because there's definitely stuff happening here in season 3 that is paying off stuff from season 2. Which probably, I bet if I were to go rewatch after I finish season 4, I bet if I go and rewatch season 2, like I will probably appreciate that one a lot more.
Yeah, I definitely do now. Like when we just watched it before, than when I've rewatched it before in the past or when I first watched it. I think after season 4, like it really starts to like all come together. Without giving away too much.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Johnny, what are your overall thoughts on these 2 episodes? And then I have some lines.
I actually think these 2 have been the weakest so far. I think just because, like,
interesting.
Like there were definitely standout moments, but like I said, I took like the least amount of notes for these as I did the other ones. Everything kind of went the way that you expected it to. Like I was also kind of disappointed. Like they came up with all these ideas to find the steelworks, and I thought like they were gonna like, and granted she wasn't there, and they had the whole thing like following Mrs. O'Driscoll, like, but they defaulted to Elle going into the void and tracking him again, which she's done anytime they need to find someone. They can't keep relying on that. They need to come up with something different. I thought it was going to be interesting that when Billy saw her in the like first or second episode and like shut her down and she couldn't find him, but all she had to do was try harder and she was able to.
They realized it was a trap. Like he wanted them to find her. That's why he was just sitting on the bed.
True.
Yeah, that's why she was able to find him, because he wanted to be found.
Yeah.
And like I totally get that, but I think they needed to show that, there are kind of repercussions, like if she is in the void, like she's not completely untouchable. Like nothing like really bad happens to her, but like it got pretty close to happening. So yeah. I think that might be why. I totally get that with like, that's kind of their answer to everything. Because it seems like a lot of void time. But I mean, there kind of has been in every season. But I think there's been a good a well-balanced amount of it. I can't think of the right word. Like not too much of it. But maybe this season there's just been more.
I mean, just in totality.
And also, there was a lot of, like, action in these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And scary.
Like, there's nothing that I didn't like. Like, both these episodes are still good. I just think they're the weakest of the season so far.
Well, it is kind of, like, right before the end where it's, like, we need to, like, really amp things up. So there's not a lot of time to, like, sit and like talk things through or like have more like character building or just stuff like that. So it makes sense. It seems like very typical for at this point of the season, but I still enjoyed them. Do you have any lines in particular that stood out to either of you guys?
No, I mean, I think you sent some of the ones that stood out to me, so I'll say that.
Okay.
Actually, overall, my overall is that the dialogue is really good. I think. I know that sounds so critical, and critical thinking. No, the dialogue for me works. It feels very
Mhm.
off the characters. Nothing in these two like just sort of really like stood out as like exceptional, but I also think that's perfect. I don't always.
Mhm.
I think, especially in sort of this day and age with like sort of X and like Instagram, like with all the social media, it's really about sort of the zinger or whatever. And I
Mhm.
feel like, at least for these two episodes, the dialogue was just really solid. It was well written. It was in character.
It
There was
was
some
like
great
to the
moments.
point, and they were able to like connect the dots. Like it wasn't a lot of like
It also
talking,
built,
talking.
yeah, and it's like the thing with Steve and why did I just blank on her
Robin?
name? Robin. Robin. It's like we've been saying it all night. I'm like, what's her name?
Say my
Uma's
name,
daughter.
say my name.
Um, but like Steve and Robin, there is that great conversation. None of it like stands out to me verbatim, but it's just a great little piece of character work. Like there's some,
Yeah.
it's a moment for them to sort of stop and connect, and like
Mhm.
we get some depth on her. We get some depth on how far he has grown since season one when
Mhm.
he was a complete asshole. Like, because there's some genuine like, I mean, especially because it's really clear he's into her. He may not
Mhm.
be realize he's into her himself. I'm pretty sure, he
Yeah.
does. But like it's really clear that he's feeling a certain kind of way, and like it's just to me that came across in that exchange where it's like he's sort of feeling like I was chasing Nancy, and then who's that bitch he
Mhm.
was with? Anyway, um, like I don't like her. Anyway, but yeah, so it was the whole like just that sort of dialogue. Like none of it stood out where I'm like, let me write the other than what we're gonna get to later.
Okay.
Because I knew I was doing this when I rewatched. I'm like, let me write the dirty parts, and you got everything that I wrote down. Actually, two more now that
Perfect.
I have. But the dialogue for
Perfect.
me it's really good for the story. It furthers the story. It makes the characters more compelling for me.
Mhm.
It just really occurred to me how much I enjoyed this season when it was like happening. Because I want to say Matt and I when it hit. I think this one we just maybe shotgunned on a weekend where we just boom through the whole thing because it was
Mhm.
hard to stop. Like it was like I think
Yeah,
a
it's
Monday,
it's been very hard to stop
and
after each two at a time.
Yeah.
yeah,
I will
I'm glad
say
I was
that.
very disciplined and like sort of waited until last night to like go and do them, and then I sort of
Yeah.
skimmed them both this morning. But
That's why I've been waiting too, because I'm like, if I
yeah,
start it like Wednesday, I'm just gonna finish it.
yeah, and that's what as soon
Which
as they
I've seen
started.
it before, but still, I want to like get the authentic experience of
Well, not,
like.
and not just that. It's just it's so watchable, especially for
Mhm.
me. Especially the first season and this one are very watchable.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Season two might be better. I feel like I'm going to get to the end of it. Then we've got about what a year before the next season. I'm probably going to rewatch
Yeah.
all. I know
Sometime
Matt
next
rewatch
year.
them, so
There you go.
and he enjoyed it. So I should. I'm just going to do that. I think. So anyway,
Nice. So my first line that I have written down is yeah, I'm great now that I know that the Russians can't design elevators. Fucking
right.
Steve.
Yeah, no, there's some good little digs, but.
And then do you have some, Johnny?
I don't have anything in particular written down. There's one that Hopper said, I think it was in the second episode, that I just went, ha! But I didn't think to write it down. And I
Oh
think
no.
it was something with the interrogation of Alexei, but I don't remember it. But anything with Hopper and Joyce and Murray is great.
Hmm.
Like all
Yeah.
of those interactions.
I really
Chef's
like
kiss.
the Hopper and Joyce. Like I just like the whole
Me
like we're
too.
rooting for you kids, and even though it's really too bad that what's his face got eaten last season.
Bob.
Poor
Justice for
Bob.
Bob.
Justice for Bob. Not as much as for Barb, but anyway.
Yeah, not as much
But
as for Barb.
I really like Joyce and Hopper. Like I think. And it's and as you can hear in the
Someone's pussy
background,
is
it's the
whining.
song of the defeated. the unfeated happening.
The
So it's just,
undefeated.
all three of them at once.
Oh no.
Matt's taking care of it. But anyway,
Justice for Muse.
yeah, right.
Speaking of.
Oh God. Yeah.
Aw.
Anyway, yeah. So I don't. That's what I think. This crying of the cats. It's the mom instinct. Oh my God, the babies.
The
That's
boo-boos.
true. But no, I like the chemistry between Bryce and Hopper, and I want them to like hook up. So
Yes, same. My other line, I have a few more. Hope
Go
you
ahead.
guys are in good shape. Looking at you, roast beef, Steve to Dustin. And Dustin's like, why me?
Yeah, I liked that follow up too.
And then Erica's, you're all so nerdy, it makes me physically ill. And then right after that, Robin says to Steve, why so sensitive, Harrington? Afraid of losing cool points to a 10-year-old child? So good. Do I have any more for the 5th episode? No, I think the rest are from episode Excuse Me Notes. Can you move? Hello? The like thing wouldn't move over. When Dustin and Erica are going down the vent. He's like, I won't forget you to Steve. And they're like,
Yeah.
fucking go. Stop being dramatic. Just go. And then, let's see. Oh, and Mayor Klein's, I'm sorry. I have a bad temper. I'm going to therapy.
Yeah.
Which also I was like, wow, that's great for the 80s.
Yeah. That is very good for
Mm-hmm.
that time. Although, wasn't totally tangent. Wasn't
Tangent time.
Adam Seaver on Step by Step? Wasn't he a therapist?
I don't know. There's
Alan
IMDb for
Thicke's
that.
character.
Oh. Yes?
With the show with Alan Thicke, Kirk Cameron.
the Seavers.
Yeah, wasn't that Step by Step?
No, that was
Seventh Heaven?
Christy Swanson was only 16 when she hooked up. I'm sorry, Growing Pains.
Growing Pains. There we go.
That.
My parents did not want me watching that.
I think Alan Thicke's character was a therapist.
Yeah, he was. And still
Mhm.
hooked up with Christy Swanson in real life when she was 16. So anyway.
Ooh.
That's not good.
R.I.P. Alan
Not
Thicke.
good. Allison. Anyways, my next line is when Elle walks in right after Mike says that he loves her, and Elle's like, what's going on? And Lucas is like, just a family discussion.
Yeah.
Like, okay. All right, Lucas. And then when Dustin is like, what the hell is that? And Erica's like, a deadly weapon. Could be useful. It's like, Erica, I fucking love you. You're so good. So good.
It's really fun. I like
But I have to say, like she says it, a deadly weapon. Like it's like no big deal.
She has tons of sass.
I really enjoy
sasses.
how Erica is just she's actually probably the most intelligent character in the entire show.
Yeah,
Right.
her math skills. Yeah. All right, that's all I have for lines. Should we do That's What They
That's
Said?
what they said? Yes.
Okay.
Allison, you're gonna go first.
I am?
Yes.
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
Let me do the Johnny thing now.
We were talking about how I don't know if you were watching at the very start. I've been doing this for some reason.
Well, we've talked about it.
We talked about it, yeah, but I did it today too.
All right. Here we go. We're going down. Here we go.
Now, fucking Fallout Boy's in my head. You gotta take it easy on that thing. You're gonna drain the battery.
Can you redirect your stream, please?
I will search him until I am satisfied.
I don't care how good her pie is. I don't want her in my damn house. Is not something I would probably say.
2 at a time.
Oh, thank you, Kayla. You gave me the best one. They're using it to penetrate a hole in a box.
It is opening.
Yay! Those are your. That's what they said for Stranger Things, or season 3, episodes 5 and 6.
I literally, in my note, had the penetrate a hole one in the box. And
Yeah.
But next to it, I'm like, I hope I get this one. Thank you, Kayla. I got the one I wanted.
I didn't even count it out. I just think the guest should go first.
It was the
Worked out
universe
well.
saying Allison needs this, and we're gonna give it to her.
Love it. So now shall
All
we
right.
do some
Do
spoilers
without context? Mine will be first, and then Kayla's. We'll bring them up
Okay.
on the screen.
Sounds good.
So, in honor of Steve winning a fight, I had to use Little Mac from Punch-Out on the NES.
Nice.
Shatner. Well, yes, but Michael Myers, because I could have used Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, but Tom and Bruce in the hospital stalking the kids felt very slasher flick.
Yep.
So that's what that was for. Also from Halloween 3, Silver Shamrock. The masks making everybody melt into bugs very much made me think
Oh my god. I love that movie so much more now.
Made me think of the when the Flayed died and melted into goo. And then this is from Dungeons and Dragons. This is a monster called a gibbering mouther.
I thought you had my ex's dad's high school photo there, but okay.
That's
I
pretty
love
much
how
what
it's your ex's dad's high school photo.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't date something that looks like that on purpose.
that is pretty much what
Nice. Very nice.
what the Flayed looked like. Thank you. When they melted in the hospital.
Flayed.
So we will now bring. I keep wanting to say Ensign. We'll bring Kayla's spoilers without context up.
Say it every time.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I had to do Smirnoff because of Smirnoff, and I particularly did a Smirnoff Ice. So if anyone's watching this, you've been iced, and if you drink alcohol, you're gonna have to chug some alcohol. So
I wish I had
welcome.
Smirnoff Ice. I used to drink those like water.
Yeah, those in Mike's Hard Lemonade, that was
were the
water
best.
in college. And then, as we talked about before, Terminator, because copy paste Terminator in the show looks exactly like literally this poster. And then Slurpee, which I think this was actually a Slurpee made for Stranger Things. Because of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Is the best way of saying it. And then here's Johnny. When was it again? Why did I do this again? When whatchamacallit?
Steve?
No, I'm forgetting.
Billy?
Is it the Terminator when he goes through something? Damn it! Now I'm forgetting. What happens in this episode?
A man hams it up while shoving his face through a crack. I don't know.
There's a reason. Oh, it's when Busey's brother puts his head through the door and he's like, Nancy.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it all makes sense now.
Yep.
So, Does this Slurpee look fake to anybody else? Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
look...
not a real Slurpee. It's like I think
Okay.
it's like a
It's a
like
prop.
someone was making like a keychain or something or like
Okay. I was gonna say because the red looks like that
looks like ramen
or those
or like a coral.
or like the rubber courts for like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like some
tennis,
sort of spongy thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
like playground
coral.
flooring.
Keeps going blurry.
Yeah,
For some reason.
I forget what it's called. I had to look it up one time for a story I was writing because that's what they make the tracks out of. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's resistant, so that you don't hurt your knees as much.
Yep. Yep.
Also, it does say Terminator in the Year of Darkness 2029.
Oh, so it's coming up.
Yeah,
Everyone
Skynet.
prepare.
Skynet's coming. Very good. Those are good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bowing.
I wish I had some Smirnoff Ice right now, so thank you
Yeah.
for the memory.
Wish
They
I had a
still even
Slurpee.
make it?
I think they do.
Smirnoff Ice mixed with this like cherry Slurpee.
There you go.
Oh fuck, that sounds good.
You know what I'm doing on vacation?
All right, we will
Slurpee
bring
and vodka.
episode 6. We'll bring mine up on the screen. So I had to do nerds
Okay.
because they're all nerds.
Yep.
I had to do the My Little Pony because
Yeah.
My Little Pony. I had to do
Yeah.
the math meme for Erica doing the math in her head.
Love that.
And the Cloverfield monster for the Mind Flayer because
Oh,
I
that's
think the
such a
Mind
good
Flayer is
one.
gonna be a kaiju and kind of looks like the Cloverfield.
Yeah, it does
little
kind
bit.
of. It's like the Cloverfield monster had a baby with Alien, because the head
Yeah.
was very Alien-esque, like where
That's
like the back jutted out.
I was just thinking that looks like my ex's sister after she went on that crack diet. She has really
Oh,
thin
Allison.
legs and they're long.
Very good,
Okay.
Johnny. Very
Thank
good.
you. And we will bring Kayla's up
So yeah,
in the middle of her chewing. So it has...
I don't know why I did that. So as we talked about the Gravitron scene that we hinted to earlier, this is from Totally Killer. It's a Halloween movie
Oh
that
my
came
God, I
out
love
last
that
year.
Did you watch
Right?
it? It was
Mhm.
so good.
we
I
watched
liked
it. We thought about covering it, but we ended up not.
Yeah.
Like we were.
I
Gonna
think it
do
was
for
fun,
one-
but I don't think there was like enough to
there wasn't a lot to
talk about. It was good. Like it was a good
Oh my God,
movie.
so good.
Yeah, exactly. So this is from that movie. It's on Amazon. If anyone wants to watch it, right? Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was on Amazon.
And then
exclusive, I think.
Burger King, not in its current logo, and the one I think of it as, because that logo has been around for most of my life. Because,
this logo was introduced in 1999.
Yep. And, because Hopper brought Burger King, My Little Pony, because My Little Pony. And then I literally looked up Fat Rambo.
That was a movie, wasn't it? Like a real movie.
Well, Rambo was a movie, but
I
not...
feel like that Rambo, actually, now that I'm looking at that, I feel like that was actually, it was one of those,
I don't know. I'm going to say
It's-
no.
oh
But I
wait,
could be
maybe
wrong.
it's just a movie they made for.
They made the logo with Jim, so
Okay.
yeah. So I
They
found
made
this
it out for
and
the show.
yeah, so I was like, oh, should I use it because it's Jim, or should I look up just a regular Rambo?
No,
Because I was
no.
like hoping there would be like someone who looked like Rambo that was like a little bit chunkier or something, and called him Fat Rambo. But I found this awesome art that people did, so I was like, I'll just use this instead, and it's perfect. So Fat Rambo.
Indeed. Yeah, the Gravitron. Like I said, I thought of that Gravitron scene too, but I don't know why I didn't think to use it as me. But that's okay because you did.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda brought a flashlight. Okay. That's a Farscape reference.
I just have personal things with flashlights, so
It happens.
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
So yeah,
I think that's it.
that's it.
Any predictions for next time, Johnny?
Nothing outrageous. I think everything's going to end up pretty much as we expect it to. I don't know if
I'm gonna ask you every time. Anyone you think is gonna die?
Billy has to, right? Like, I feel like everybody else who was, except for Will, like, but I kind of feel like Billy has to because Heather melted into the mind flayer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was one of the first ones to walk toward it and drop.
But do you think he's gonna melt into it and that's how he dies?
I don't know. I feel like he should die. I don't think he's going to.
He should die. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like, not because he deserves it or anything. These aren't his actions, but I feel like for the story, for everything, that he's probably, like, I feel like the logical conclusion would be for him to merge with the Mind Flayer and die. But I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I don't think any of the main group is going to die. I thought that Jonathan might actually die in the hospital. I'd be like, ooh, are we going to see a death? But I think at this point, season 3 going into 4, I don't think they're going to kill anybody off. I think that everybody is pretty established and they've all got plot armor, unfortunately.
Okay. That's fair. Matt.
That was timed very well.
Great timing, Matt.
Hey,
Right.
look at the screen, not to me.
All right then. Any final thoughts, Allison, before we geek the F out of here?
Moby is trash. Otherwise, no.
All right. Well,
Okay.
would you like to plug yourself? Oh,
Well, wait. Before we
yes,
do that,
Johnny, go
real
ahead.
quick,
Well,
we're
you gotta
not
play
going
the
to be
sound.
what?
You gotta play the Imperial, not the Imperial, the Death Star sound.
Oh, I didn't think that. Okay, hang on. I pulled it up and then I closed it because I thought.
That's basically what it sounds like. He's like, "Why are you lifting my paws, woman? Why?"
Okay, I can kind of hear it. Hang on, I'm gonna put it on the screen.
Oh, I'm being attacked by a small beast. Beastie.
I'm gonna have to share audio, so Kayla, you might hear an echo for a minute
Okay.
because that seems to be what happens.
We count 30 rebel ships in our radar, but they're so small they're evading our turbo lasers.
We'll have to destroy them ship to ship. Get the crews to their fighters.
That's fair.
So yeah,
no.
I hear it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think also in Rogue One, it's a little more
louder.
Probably a little
similar.
louder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're
But anyway,
okay.
sorry, Johnny, go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's kind of on brand because we're not going to have our own coverage of it, but we are going to guest on at least one thing. But since we're here, why don't we talk a little bit, just quick thoughts. What did you guys think of the Acolyte premiere?
Not watched it yet.
Haven't
Same.
watched it yet.
I haven't
No.
watched it yet.
Ah. Well then.
I'm excited for it though. I'm looking forward to it.
Johnny.
Never mind.
Sorry.
Well, no,
I'm glad
I wanna
you
hear it.
haven't either, Allison.
Yeah, no,
I was planning
gonna
on this
I was
weekend.
like, no, I will. I want to rewatch the episodes so they're fresh for Johnny and Kayla. But the Acolyte will happen at some point this weekend as well. I might actually. Just because I now feel like I want to go and watch Stranger Things season 4 this weekend. So-
Yes. Do it.
And
You
then
won't
that way I
regret
have
it.
more.
It's so good.
Yeah. I
Just,
saw.
you're gonna have to. I don't know if you'll finish it all, just because half the episodes are the lengths of
Yeah.
movies. The last
Well,
one is 2.5 hours.
Yeah, well, Sunday night. I mean, like Sunday morning, I have my normal Sunday stream, and then after that, it's just I'm gonna work on various coloring videos I have coming. So like I'll have some time to put just stuff on and let it play. Yeah, obviously there'll be some. I watched some of the live streams that happen on Sundays. Brick, highly articulated, probably geeked out life. Because work. Anyway, but yeah, no, I'll probably watch them all this weekend between other stuff. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
as one does.
Yes.
I'm keeping up with Doctor Who too. Doctor Who has been really good so far.
I've never watched any of it, so but I'm that person where I need to like watch it from day one, and somebody's like, but they're missing episodes, and I was like,
okay, yes, they are, but you don't have to watch. Like, in my experience, if you watch from day one, like you're talking classic Doctor Who, because there's classic Doctor Who and new Who. Classic Doctor Who is a completely different thing. Yeah.
Okay.
The best starting point, generally agreed, is to start with the 9th Doctor, the one that
that's
reboot,
Chris Eccleston, right?
Yeah, Chris Eccleston in like whatever.
He's really good in The
2005.
Leftovers.
And watch through, and then if you liked Doctor Who enough, it's kind of one of those. Well, I want more. I want to see what the old stuff was like to go back and watch.
All right. Well, then I will not put that in the. Yeah, that's never gonna happen because I don't have that many years left in my life.
Yeah.
But,
Yes, you do.
I would start with. That's where I started. That's where most people have started these days.
Okay. Good to know.
I avoided it for a very, very long time too because it was one of those. It was one of those things like I had never really heard of it, and one day it was just fucking everywhere, and people would not shut up about it.
I had heard of it, because like Starlog magazine and like all the old geeky stuff, it would be mentioned. So I knew it was a thing, and sometimes there would be pictures of it in magazines, and it was like, so I was aware of it. But it wasn't until everyone wouldn't finally it came over here and everyone was like, oh my god, it's so good, you have to watch it, it's almost as good as The Wire, have you seen The Wire? And I just
yeah, my best friend from college, she was super into it, and I started it with the Eccleston ones. I don't know when this was, maybe like 7-8 years ago, like after college, but I just never kept up with it. I don't know why. I think there was like other stuff going on, but I still would love to go back and watch at least the new Who.
It can be a switch too, because like you start with Eccleston and you either bounce off of it because you don't really like his character, or you get really attached to him, and then as Doctor Who does, you eventually have a regeneration. It's a different person playing the Doctor, and like my favorite was David Tennant, and when they went to Matt Smith, I just didn't dig him as much. But there's some people who like Matt Smith is their absolute favorite Doctor ever. So like it depends.
AKA Damon.
I kind of want to watch it just because there are a lot of people who are mad that there was a couple seasons where Doctor Who was a woman, and they don't like that. So I kind of wanted to watch
and also they
say that's my favorite season, even if
don't like that he's not white.
I heard that too. And
is he gay in the show?
Spoilers?
I don't think that's going to spoil anything.
No, yeah, he's at least,
or at least queer.
He might be pan, bi.
He's at least heteroflexible, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that one in a while.
Well,
I love his character in Sex Education.
Doctor Who is one of those shows where
no, is he?
Like,
no, I think I'm so.
I feel like a lot of people, yes, and I'm not saying there definitely were people whose main gripe with it was that they cast a female Doctor Who, but a lot of it was the writing for her
So dumb.
season was not her episodes. They had the showrunner for that is generally regarded as not doing a good job, unfortunately. But I liked Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. I just didn't think her seasons were written.
Oh, he
that
is in the
well.
Barbie movie. Okay, I'm not crazy. Sorry.
One of the things I did a rewatch and ended up really liking Peter Capaldi's Doctor a lot more the second time through on the rewatch than I did the first time through. But Tennant is 10 and technically now 14.
He's
is
just
my favorite.
so good.
So I got my first
in
sonic
everything.
screwdriver.
Well, aren't you cool? All right. Shall we geek the F out of here?
The F out? Okay, sounds good.
All right, Allison,
wait,
plug
plugs.
yourself.
Oh,
Plug
yeah.
yourself.
Like my, oh, sorry, you mean like my, okay. Yeah, Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll be live streaming. I'm coloring Masters of the Universe. My guest was going to be Toy Sorceress, but she's going to do a toy convention that she forgot about, so I'm just going to color by myself. People drop in and say hello.
I will be watching Lord of the Rings, but I'll be there in spirit.
Well,
I'll watch on the replay.
It's the 30-year edition of like all 30 of them.
The 30-year.
17 hours of single. Anyway,
I'll be having Sunday brunch with my mom.
Well, there you go. So you definitely should pull it up on your phone so you don't have to. I'm just kidding. I'm sure your mom.
She's a nice lady.
Anyway, yeah. And
She
it
is.
sort of leads up, and then the next week there'll be a couple pre-records on Sunday. I'm taking some time off because I've been not having time off for months and months. I hit 1 year of making content on YouTube in July. So anyway, yeah.
Happy. So glad you're doing that.
Yeah, it's good. So, and then I'm wrapping up my one daily time-lapse coloring shorts. I've done them one a day every day for a year almost. That'll end on July 17th. I know, right?
That's an insane accomplishment. That's great.
It's really huge. So definitely check those out. I'm gonna, after my 3 weeks off, I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna celebrate because I'll come back at the beginning of July, and I won't be gone. I just won't be doing live streams, and I won't be as present. I still have content made that will release as regular, so gotta keep the algorithm fed. So anyway, that's what I got. Watch my shit.
Yay. And that's all linked below if anyone wants to find it. As for us, you can follow us at GTFO channel on Instagram. Post updates on when our new shows are coming out. As always, we have Trek Retrek on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. We're always in the chat for that. So, feel free to come and join us and watch an episode. And then the next week, can I announce who's going to be on, Johnny?
Yeah.
Shauna will be joining us again, which we're very excited about. She came on to talk about a couple episodes in season 2. I can't remember which ones, but she is a blast. So excited to have her on for the final 2 episodes of this season.
And she's from Diced Thespians that I run for, which our season 2 for Diced Thespians for the Sundered Veil. July 13th, we're going to do, that's a Saturday, we're going to do a marathon rerunning the first half of season 1. Or no, I'm sorry, July 6th, we're going to start that. Saturday, July 6th is the first half of season 1 rerun marathon. July 13th, Saturday, will be the second half of season 6 being rerun. And then July 15th, Monday, will be the premiere of season 2, episode 1 for Sundered Veil. And she's also exciting. On a Sunday night one now, too, I believe it is. Sunday or Wednesday. Or it's Wednesday. Dungeons Divided. But she'll talk more about that when she's on, I'm sure.
Yeah. Very exciting. And that'll probably be the same time, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week we'll be starting our Lost Watch Rewatch show. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be doing it the first half of season 1. Like the first 3 seasons will be split into two shows each. And then the last 3 seasons will be 1 show each. And in between them, we'll have special episodes where we talk about the season as a whole with a special guest. So yeah, look out for that. And it'll either be Friday live or like pre-recorded coming out on a Friday. So same time as Stranger Geeks.
Because we want to hopefully finish all our Lost coverage right before the premiere of the Getting Lost documentary on September 22nd.
Cool.
So,
which I will be going to. Yeah. I'm very excited about. Very excited. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon, and do the same on all of Allison's content, please and thank you. And until then, see you next time.
Deuces.